The day Walter Brushin woke up, he knew something was amiss. He could feel it in the cold air pushing down on him like the weight of the world had just been dropped on him, crushing him into the mattress of the bed. Fighting the weight, he sat up, bringing his hand to his head, where he felt torrents of perspiration dripping continuously. In no time, his hand was soaked. Throwing the sheets off himself, he retrieved a towel that he then proceeded to dry himself off with. After, he walked to the drawer and put on some clothes, the most comfortable that he could find. A red wool sweater, blue jeans, and a pair of gray socks. He went to the kitchen of his apartment next, trying his hardest to keep calm as he felt the ominous air surrounding him. He wondered if anyone else could feel it, or if it was just him. Maybe it was nothing, and he just... No. That wasn't possible. It was so intense that he kept shivering, making it difficult to put the spoon of cereal in his mouth. The taste was non-existent to him, as he couldn't stop thinking about it. The tension just rose and rose, seeming to never stop. Every passing second was a new terror that evolved into something even worse. It was like knowing the exact moment when you're going to die. Disconcerting doesn't begin to describe the feeling one would feel leading up to the day of such an event. He turned on the television and watched the news to see if there was anything to announce of a foreboding nature. Other than the usual crappiness in the world, nothing that would give any impression of a coming doom. Perhaps it was all in his head, a product of anxiety, of day-to-day life. But even as he tried to force this train of thought into his head, he just couldn't, as his arms began to shake, losing his nerves altogether. What's happening? He contemplated to himself while he brought his quivering hands to his face in an attempt to possibly soothe himself, only remotely doing so. Scrambling to his window, he opened it up and stuck his head out to observe the world. From his fourth-floor apartment, he could see a good portion of the city. And what he saw was once again nothing to cause great dismay. All was normal. The skies were clear, blue as far as the eye could see, and the sun beamed down from millions of kilometers away. Past the sun, for billions upon billions of light years, on a planet that's many solar systems away, a race of intellectual creatures were making the final preparations. They scurried about, doing their work and activities in order to get everything right. The machines were in line and checked, functioning at a level they could only gleefully acknowledge. The emotion exhibited would have been something that would have resulted in great smiles on their peculiar faces. But they lacked such facial movements. There was nothing familiar about their body structures, for they lacked most of the necessities that we humans would need to live. Most walked about on 3 legs. Their bodies contorted in degrees that were unprecedented, even for those creatures without vertebrae, such as snakes or insects. Their skin was droopier than anything else. The closest approximation of description would be that of some ill reptile or insect, once again, but those were far from accurate. They lurked in the shadows of their reddish world, nearing the final checks of completion. Their machinery was advanced and incomprehensible, exceeding the concepts of any film depicting a futuristic world. To them, this machinery was closer to a primitive technology than anything of true grandeur. One of them, reaching out with 2-pronged appendages that could be equivalent to an arm, pressed a triangular-shaped button of sorts. Back on Earth, Walter was on the phone with his mom, trying to conceal his frantic anticipation. He had taken some pills to hopefully lower his heart rate that was thumping fast and non-stop. "Yes, Mom, I'm fine," he said, feigning mild annoyance, though he was overjoyed just to hear her voice. He figured he would only worry her if he revealed his anxiety, opting to suppress it as much as he could. "Just an energy drink, it's all. Woke up and was still a bit tired, so I took one. You know how I dislike the taste of coffee. Yuck." "Well, if you're sure, honey," his mother replied, in her usual perky tone that was just pure hope and optimism in it. She had raised him to see the good in all things, and though he had found it difficult in many ways, he had come to terms that life itself was a beautiful thing. People may cause him discomfort, shyness, or worry. He saw the sheer wonderment of the world around him. But she loved. I should be off. Gotta keep an eye on Helena. Oh, how is she anyway? She was his 3-year-old niece, who he loved to death. Granted, he loved his whole family, even his aggravating older brother. Oh, she's doing well. Jason and Kay are gone out to the movies, and I'd said that I'd watch her for a couple of hours. Your father's here with me, so all's good in the Bruchon house. Well, as good as they can be. They both laughed. They said they loved each other. And then, their goodbyes. Walter having his mother relay the message of his love to the rest of the family. The click on the other end sent a shiver down Walter's spine. He hung up, pacing the length of his whole apartment for a good 4 minutes, before finally sitting down on the reclining chair. There was once a time, about 10 years earlier, when Walter was only 15, that he was informed that his father had been diagnosed with lung cancer. It nearly destroyed his world, and for weeks he was racked with grief, expected from anyone in any situation. No one knows what true sadness is until it comes out of nowhere to claim a victim. Cruelty, heartless evil, these were all the thoughts that came to his mind when he was trying to describe the world to himself right then. He hated it, loathed it, but upon further scrutiny, he realized it wasn't life's fault, or even God's, for those that choose outlets of their pain. He was just the way things went. It didn't lessen the pain or really help in his dismay, though it helped to mature his thoughts. 2 months earlier, when his father returned home from chemotherapy, and Walter finally glanced at the man that he thought as his hero, he was appalled at what stood before him. Eyes fatigued, body sagging, no matter how much he tried to cover it up by standing as straight as he could, there was no hiding it. The sickly pale skin and the hair loss that he was already exhibiting, it was too much. Walter ran to his room crying. There he tried to think of things that made him happy, while listening to his music. During an hour or so of doing such a thing, he was met with a euphoria that enveloped him. As all the pain in the world became obsolete, he did this nightly for weeks, and by some miracle of chance, by the end of the month, the cancer had disappeared somehow. He was overjoyed and hugged his dad nonstop, kissing him on the cheek. It made him see the radiance of all that was around. When remembering these events, it brought a smile back onto his face, but it didn't disguise his own mounting fears. He closed his eyes and just tried to think of something else. Like all those years ago, he remembered that tomorrow he was going out on a date with Sherry, the girl from his work. He was really looking forward to it and smiled. The thought of his family, his friends, and everyone close to him caused it to broaden even more. It was true bliss. Back in the outer reaches of the dark expanse of space, the creatures had finalized their procedures and, with the collective intelligence of 1 billion life forms, caught the roaming giant rock that circled their planet for many a century. Its sole purpose was for this. They had watched humans from the moment they crawled out of that primordial ooze, grew limbs which they learned over centuries to use, their minds developing at an alarming rate, and to where they were now. These beings saw them as nothing more than parasites, lacking any real threat, but a cautionary trait. Humans had done nothing productive. They had saw no reason to keep them around. Now that the planets were perfectly aligned, they believed themselves to be specimens of true power and granted the ability to judge over other living organisms across the worlds. The asteroid, that was the size of a small moon, lurched as it hurled itself forward, crossing over the large emptiness as it neared its destination, gaining speed by every passing moment. When it would finally hit, there would be no survivors. The impact itself might not wipe out all life, but the results to the climate would. The debris would rain down, destroying countless thousands of buildings and people. The skies would be blotted out for months, resisting all chances of the sun's rays penetrating and fertilizing the plants. It would become barren within a year. A new ice age would be imminent, killing off the rest of any surviving species. The end of the human race was nigh. He retrieved his music device and plugged in the earbuds. Closing his eyes and reclining in the chair, placing his feet on the footrest for further relaxed pleasure, he let go and relaxed as Für Elise came on. Beethoven's beautiful art to the ears soothed Walter to the very marrow as he hummed along. He felt his soul being lifted as the peace overcame him. The asteroid swiftly spanned the gap between the solar systems, finally entering ours when it passed Pluto. Its destination was not much further ahead, as it kept its steady pace, hurtling at Mach speeds. Its rotation was slowing down, though, which in turn was decreasing its massive acceleration. Enya was playing now. He hummed with it, too. The tension left his body altogether. A smile returned to his face. The beauty of the world came to him in torrents of magnificent imagery. It was spectacular. It was slowing down more and more, its spinning going to normality. It passed Saturn and was nearing Jupiter. The music played now, Requiem. The splendor was awe-inspiring. Finally passing Mars, Earth was close by now. Going to the next song, Walter was met with a euphoric sensation that resembled that of being born. Ave Maria was tenderly transcending his body. Earth was dead in its sights, but as it got closer, it seemed to move off its destined path, as if it was being lightly pushed out of the way. Within thousands of kilometers now, it simply passed by, rocketing by Venus and Mercury, toward the sun that welcomed it in its warm embrace. The race of powerful creatures were amazed and in utter confusion. There was no reason whatsoever the asteroid shouldn't have hit. Upon investigation, they knew it wasn't because of their technology or the fault of any one being. The calculations were perfect and exact. They were flabbergasted, oblivious to what had caused such an event, enraged with their display of foul abilities that were impossible to find. They readied for another launch, but before they could do such a thing, they were hit by a wandering comet that had passed by a couple of times harmlessly. From previous observations, it shouldn't have come near them for another century, and even then, it would have passed by like all the rest. Such a thing would remain a mystery forever from them, for they were eradicated in less than a minute. Walter opened his eyes, and the terror that he had felt earlier had been wiped away entirely. He removed the earbuds and stood up. He peeked out the window once again, taking in the world and the fresh air. He was all of true, exquisite nature, a miracle of many upon many life forms. His smile widened, showing off his white teeth. Turning around and retrieving his jacket and car keys, he left his apartment, set out to do something productive for the day. Maybe he would get a dog or a cat. Perhaps he would visit his family or call upon a few friends to hang out. Why not all of the above? Whatever his choices, it was a new day, and he could live it to the fullest, for there was truly nothing more beautiful than just being alive.